Hello, dear leader. My name is Samuel Eyim, Chief Leadership Coach at the Center for Transformational Leadership in Africa, CTL Africa. And I have an important invitation for you. Why are some nations developed and thriving, while others are underdeveloped and struggling? Why are some businesses flourishing and others languishing? Why are some churches growing and others dying? These are important questions for leaders. So are you a leader? At what level are you leading? What impact are you making? What is your understanding and concept of leadership? The way you think about leadership is the way you do leadership. And as John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on leadership. Leadership is the cause, all others are the effect. So, at the Center for Transformational Leadership, we've created this program to help you transform your understanding of leadership. This program is going to be based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. As a John C. Maxwell certified coach, I'm going to walk you through these laws, and we're going to give you exercises and activities around these laws to help install a new transforming concept of leadership for you. This will change the way you do leadership completely. So I invite you to check our website and our social media pages and to register for the Leadership Mindset and Asset program. This program is on 2 levels. The first level is understanding the laws of leadership, where we are going to walk you through the laws of leadership in 3 to 5 days. And this will give you the foundations of leadership. The second level is walking the laws of leadership. Here, we take you through a 15-week journey through the laws of leadership. Every week, you will have opportunity to study one law, apply the law throughout the week, meditate upon it, do the exercises, and regroup with other like-minded people who are learning the laws of leadership, exchange ideas, and share your lessons. So do not miss this opportunity. Register now for the Leadership Mindset and Asset program. We spend a lot of time developing our professions, but we don't spend time developing ourselves. Look, as a leader, as a professional, you have to grow. You have to grow yourself. And to be able to grow yourself, you need to know yourself. A lot of us are not achieving the maximum we can achieve because we have not invested in our personal growth. So we are bringing you this special studies based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And we're going to just spend time with you and help you go through the principles that you need to be able to grow your person, to become a better person. Because if you become a better person, you become a better leader, you become a better father, you become a better professional. Do not miss this opportunity, as the masterclass is going to be very practical and discussional. It is going to be a limited number of people. So please register now to be part of the program.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're joining us today. Today is another Saturday that we get together and also to learn, share ideas about leadership, and have one guest speaker speak to us about a leadership lesson that we can take with us to go and implement for the week until the following week. So today, before I introduce our leader, I will introduce myself. And whilst I do that, I will ask those of you who are joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you are joining us from, and what are your expectations for today. I can see already we have Willis Kweku joining us all the way from Tema, and he says, "Good evening, dear all. Great to be here." So I'll invite all of you, join Willis, introduce yourself, and we'll be able to welcome you greatly. Also, those of you who have never been with us, it's great to have you with us today. And go ahead, introduce yourself. Whilst we do that, I'd like to remind you that on the 6th of October, as every year, the first Friday of October is the Leadership Week, where we bring to you Live to Lead. This year, Live to Lead Ghana will be airing and streaming live from Atlanta on 6th of October. We'll have a Ghana section first before we join Atlanta, and we are ready for registrations. Do please register with your team. If you do register as a team, definitely, I know Sam and myself and our partners will be willing to give you a discount. Look on our website, all the registration details are there for you to start registering. The date is 6th of October, 2023. And just as you have seen, we also have the CTL programs, that is the Leadership Mindset and Heart Set program, a program that we have already advertised is also running as CTL, as well as the Laws of Leadership. So now I have Richmond Ankuma, who is joining us from Bawe, and he expects to learn something different that will help him to be a leader that takes responsibility. Awesome. Welcome, Mami Ama Iniwa from Accra, and Mr. Kwame JB says, "Great to be here. I know it will be another great evening." Wonderful. So as Sam will be sharing today, please don't hesitate to put in the chat and comment box your comments, your questions, and we'll have a time of sharing and answering your questions after his presentation. So just as Richmond Akuma has said, our topic today is how great leaders take responsibility. And we have no other than the host of this platform who has been able to get this platform running for over 3 years, bringing us the topic for today. And it's no other than our host of TLP, Mr. Samuel Aim, who is a lawyer by profession, a John C. Maxwell certified coach, a motivational speaker, a teacher, and lots of accolades that he has been able to acquire along the way. So Sam, I guess you are no stranger to all of us. I will ask you to join me and then just have a little conversation with you before you share. So welcome, Sam, to be our guest speaker today.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for standing in for the program this evening, all the way from Geneva. We appreciate you.
Thank you. So Sam, I know that you have already shared with us several times, but some people are new on the platform, so we just want you to refresh our memories why you started the Center for Transformational Leadership. Why did you start this
All
journey?
right, Sarah. This center is a burden on my heart after all the corporate experience through Africa. It became very clear to me that the one most important factor, which is the cause of all the situations we have, is leadership. And I realized that we did not, there were several institutions, academic institutions, so that some of those were just restricted to some faculties and you had to choose. So I felt that we needed to popularize the subject of leadership, share lessons on personal growth, because leadership starts with the leader. And if the leader is not growing, then the leadership will not grow. And I believe that all of us are leaders. And so leadership is something that everybody should understand. So this platform was set up just to, as a simple contribution to this need for growing leaders. And that is
Okay,
what we've done for the past 3.5 or so years, every Saturday. And we are thankful to all the people who every Saturday make up the time to come and learn and share with us and with others. Yes.
great. Thank you. So far, with this platform that has been running over 36 months, what has been one of your greatest achievement? What do you
Well,
think
I
this,
think
yeah.
um, the last time we were trying to see, the count of people who have been watching this on the various platforms, and we had, over 40,000 views together. And
Mhm.
for me, that is a big plus in terms of the people who are coming. And the other thing is that people are watching this from everywhere. And apart from that, through this platform, and organizations have reached out to us to come and help to train their leaders, and that has been very good. So I think this is what we set out to do, and it's been tough and slow, but somebody had to do it. We took it up on ourselves to start, and it's going fine.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So without further ado, may I ask you to occupy the space and take us away on how leaders take responsibility. Thank you, Sam. Over to
Thank you
you.
so much, Sarah. And let me see if I can share my screen and set the ball rolling, because the subject of responsibility is an important one, like all the other subjects that we have been talking about on this platform. And let me know if my network, I see my network from time to time, has been playing games. So, Sarah, let me
Yes,
know, do you see my screen?
I can see your screen. How successful leaders take responsibility. So
Thank you
do
so
take.
much. So, good evening, my friends. This evening we are talking about how successful leaders take responsibility. And let me just quickly, we're going to go through a few quick topics. They may look long, but just a few quick introductory topics, and share how sometimes we don't take responsibility and we like to shift it to others. We'll look at some of the human factors that actually we were made to take responsibility and to act, not to be acted upon. So we're going to look at some of those factors. We're going to look at the proactive and reactive response on quickly on 6 ways that successful leaders take responsibility. And then we will end up with a word, which is the attitude, which is a key factor to enable responsibility to be taken. So let me start by sharing with you a very interesting story that I learned when I was in the sixth form, and this was 1983 and 84 thereabout, when I was in Tema Secondary School. We used to have an accounting lecturer who was very good, very interesting, and has very interesting stories that he will share with us. Solomon Ajete was his name, and he encouraged us with some useful stories. And so let me share a few quick ones. One day was one of our mates, her name was Happy, and she sat in the class and she was not responding to anything. She was not really happy. So Mr. Ajete calls her and say, Happy, what's going on with you? And she goes like, oh no, everything is right. I say, are you sure everything is right? Do you know your name is Happy? You see, there are some names that when you take, you have no reason for not living up to those names. So you cannot call yourself Happy and come and sit in my class and not be happy. Then he said, you see me, I'm called Solomon. And so that's why I am wise. Then he went on and shared some of the things that to show that he is wise. And in fact, at that point, he's a chartered accountant, he's also a lawyer, and he kept on saying. Then one guy at the back of the class said, Sir, you are blowing your horns. Then he stopped talking and he said, who said that? And the class was very quiet. And obviously, he was looking the direction where the sound came from. So one of the guy who said it slowly raised his hand without talking, raised his hand, and then he went towards him and called his name. Let's call him Roland. Roland, if you have a horn and you don't blow it, who will blow it for you? The whole class just laughed. And he said, you see, I have a horn, so I have to blow it. And he went on to tell us a story, which I want to share with you, that in life, you have to just take responsibility, and nobody is going to do things for you. And he says that whilst he was in the university, he had a classmate. This classmate at the university will go out during the whole term, enjoy himself, go to nightclubs, go to parties. And when he came back from all his parties, he will just pace up and down the corridors, singing all the Bob Marley songs and just singing and singing. And if you dare drew his attention to say, Jack, please, we are learning. So can you please reduce the noise? Then you are in trouble. He comes and sits or stand behind your door for the next 1 hour and sing all the Bob Marley songs he knows in a loud voice, just to make sure you don't concentrate on whatever you are doing. And when it comes to the end of the academic term, when exams are coming, he would go and pack all his books, like you see in the picture, take hot coffee, very thick black coffee, hot one. He would take a bowl and put his water into the bowl, put his 2 feet into the bowl of cold water, and put the hot coffee by his side so that he can cram all the information and go for the exams. Whilst his legs were in the water and the hot coffee by his side, with all his books open, you go and see him with his head buried in the books on the desk, fast asleep. And very often you tap him and say, Jack, Hey, what's going on? Your legs are in water. And you are still sleeping. What's going on? Then he would rub his face like this, and he would stretch himself like that. They know that I'm the only one who is going to become a lawyer in the village, and so they don't want me to learn. And this guy will continue like that. And of course, you would know the end of the story. He never became a lawyer. And he continued to blame his house people. Now, I want you to keep this story clearly in focus as we go through the lessons, because many of us will not maybe behave this way. And this is a true story he told us. But in our daily lives, we do not take responsibility. We are always looking for excuses. We are looking for reasons why we cannot do certain things. We are looking for reasons why we are where we are. It looks like this started way up in the Garden of Eden, when God had created Adam and given him instructions and created a woman to help him solve his loneliness. He did not take responsibility. He allowed a woman to break God's law. And when God asked him what has happened, he says, "It's the woman you gave me." And there again, he was passing the buck. Now, my purpose this evening is to encourage all of us to understand that God has given us all the resources to be able to take responsibility for our lives, and there'll be no excuse. But let's check out what happens to us. We live in a society where things are not going well. We always want to find reasons. In fact, scientists have spent the time to analyze what causes us to behave the way we do. And there are three theories which have become our go-to theories for why we behave the way we do. So you do something and it is not the right thing, or something happens to you, or you fail to achieve something, or there's a behavior, and one of these three suspects are brought up. Number one is called genetic determinism. You are what you are because of what your grandparents did to you. It is your genes. It is how you are genetically made. That is why you are fat and you can't lose weight. So you're not losing weight, you're not doing exercises, you're doing this, and you talk about it. His doctor tells you that you need to reduce your weight, and then you say, well, as for me and my family, that's how we are all. We are all fat people, so there's nothing I can do about it. It's in my genes. You demonstrate a lot of anger, and then your attention is drawn to it, and you say, yeah, that's how I am, because my father used to be very angry, my grandfather was like that, and so that's how I am. Genetic determinism. We in this part of the world somehow have come to a point where we think that, oh, we are not making progress because, you see, we are black and black people cannot do. We are blaming something because we don't want to take responsibility. So it's the genes. Number two, psychic determinism. This theory is saying that you are who you are because of what your parents did to you, which is your upbringing. It is the way you are brought up, the house you grew in, and so on and so forth. That is how you behave the way you behave. So you're not able to dress properly, and it is because of how you were brought up. And when somebody behaves badly in an office, they will say, well, he was not brought up properly. And because we do this, we take the responsibility of the person, and we excuse him because it is not his fault. It is his upbringing. And the third theory is environmental determinism. It is what the people around you did to you. It is not your fault. It is what is happening in Ghana. That's why you are stealing. Everybody is stealing. Everybody is cheating from the presidency throughout. There's no way you can live in this country without being corrupt. You talk about integrity in business. No, it's not possible in Ghana. It's not possible in Africa. Everybody is corrupt, so you cannot do it. You go to your schools, the headmaster is stealing. The teachers who are supposed to train the children, they are helping them to cheat in done a lot of damage to us. Yes, it is true, but genetic determinism even can go to a certain extent. Read the book, The Biology of Belief, which was written by a biological scientist, a cell scientist, and he will tell you that the cells is not actually the most important factor. Your genetics, your genes are not the most important factor to determine what happens to you. It is your mind that determines. So all these things can happen to you. These are called stimulus, and they happen to all of us. Why is it that two of you in the same family, sometimes twins from the same genes, behave differently? One is responsible, the other is not. Why is it that they are brought up by the same family and they turn out totally different? Why is it that, yes, some people live in Ghana and you can find institutions in Ghana that are run with integrity? So the environment and your genetics and your upbringing are important, but they are not the most important factor to determine your outcomes of your behavior. And that is what is important. They are just the stimulus. It is your response. And it is the response that we are going to deal with. How do you respond? Now, that response and the word responsibility is your ability to respond to a certain situation. Now, God has given human beings some tools, some resources, some qualities that are only available to human beings. And God gave us these things. Every human being has it. Your dog doesn't have it. A tree doesn't have it. The fish doesn't have it. Only human beings have these attributes. And these attributes were embedded in us to enable us respond in a way that is ideal. So you have the ability to respond to these situations, and you have these factors. Number one is self-awareness. Self-awareness is that you can stand apart from yourself and observe your thoughts. And even as I'm talking now, I'm sure you are thinking about your own upbringing. It's going on in your mind, and you can see you're thinking about what happens in your house, and you can think, you can stand apart, and you can examine your thoughts. You can be aware what's going on in your mind. That is self-awareness. We all have this power within us. Sometimes we cloud it with a lot of things, but we all tend to have the power of awareness. So when you do something wrong, you know that you did something wrong. In fact, when somebody is very drunk, even drunk, or sometimes before they get drunk, they will say, give me some alcohol so that I can go and deal with somebody who is who I have to deal with. He's aware of what he's going to do, and his mind is very clear. He can think about it. That's self-awareness. It's a power that God gave to us so that we can respond ably to situations. The second one is conscience. I can listen to my inner voice to know right from wrong. Everyone knows right from wrong. Even the thief, the armed robber, knows that it is not right to go and break into somebody's house. But he has to excuse himself. He has to give reasons, like some of the things we have said. Yeah, but the leaders are stealing and they are not creating job for us. I don't have any work to do. So what should I do? Yeah, I have to go. But in his mind, he knows that it is wrong. So when you do the right thing, you know before somebody told you. That is your conscience. And that is a power God has given to you to be able to respond effectively to situations, even to your genes, even to your upbringing, even to your environment. You'll be able to determine this is not right, this is wrong. Number 3 is imagination. I can envision new possibilities. With your mind, you are able to imagine new possibilities. So no matter what is going on around you, you have the ability to imagine a new Ghana, to a new Africa, where they say the African can take care of their own responsibilities and take care of themselves, take charge of their own destiny. Their minds could take that, and they thought years and years and years ahead. With imagination, you are able to create a new thing, a new environment, no matter where you are. Every human comes around and just slaps you. You didn't do anything, he slaps you. You have a choice and you have the power to decide whether to slap him back or to turn your neck, like Jesus would say, turn your other cheek to him and say, okay, you slap me, slap this side. Or you have the power to say, this guy is crazy, let me move on. I don't want to make a mess of myself in public. Somebody insults you. Look at your big head. Usually when we're children, children will play and they will insult you, and to the point they want to agitate you. You have the power to choose your response. That is called willpower. Each one of us have. Now, if you have to abdicate your responsibility, you have to overwrite your self-awareness. You have to overwrite your conscience. You have to overwrite your imagination and overwrite your willpower in order to abdicate yourself from taking responsibility for your life. So I wanted to share this quickly because every leader who has taken responsibility recognizes and uses these tools. All right? Okay. The other thing I want to share, I call it the 3 central incidents of life. As you go through life, there are 3 things that could be happening as you operate and as you go along. Number 1 is experiential. What happens to you? As you go through life, things happen to you. I grew up in a village, walking 7 kilometers to the next village and walking back, lost my mother in the middle, had to do all sort of menial jobs. Even in the university, I had to go and be a mate in a tipper truck, carrying sand and rocks in quarries and so forth to be able to go back to the university. That is experiential. That is what happened to me. And I can crumble under that and say, well, my parents are poor, let me just stay in this quarry and so forth. But no, because of the power tools I talked to you about, the second thing is that I have the power to create. I can bring into existence new things. So I could decide that, yes, I'm from a poor background. And because of that, I don't want this poverty to continue. In fact, when I was in secondary school, anytime there was a looter and people didn't want to go to the dining hall, I was in trouble because I had nothing in my chop box and I had to survive. So you needed to be creative. And the third incident is a response to the circumstances. So things can happen to you. You can create things. And in fact, you can also do things that would affect other people. But the most important incident is attitudinal. what is your response? So it is not what happens to you that is important, but what your response is. That is the most important factor if you want to take responsibility. If you don't want to take responsibility, then you can ignore your ability to choose. All right. So there are two responses when you are in any situation and things happen to you. You can respond proactively, okay, by making the choices which are based on principles and values. So you can say that, yes, I grew up in a village. Yes, there are witches in my village, like my friend that I told you about in that story, that it is the witches in his village that are doing. He can make a proactive decision that, yes, the witches in my village, I want to prove them wrong. I want to sit in the campus, stay in the lectures, learn, read throughout the year. And by the time I get to the exams, I will pass. That's a proactive approach to life. But to resign yourself is the other side, is the reactive approach, where you're just there and reacting, blaming others, playing the victim. Okay, it is the victimitis virus. Those who are reactive, call them, they have a virus of victimitis. They play the victim. Oh, because my father was poor. Oh, because Ghana is hard. Oh, because nobody has a job. Oh, because you know me, I was not born into a rich family. You see, because me, I know nobody. Oh, if you in Ghana, if you don't know anybody, you can't get a job. That is the virus of victimitis. You just playing the victim. Whereas you have the power to be proactive and say, yes, I finished the university. What can I create? All right. So whatever is happening to you, Abraham Lincoln says, people are just about as happy as be going wrong, but you can make up your mind to be happy. I remember when I was in the university, and I was such a, just a happy guy. Everybody, this guy there, maybe he said that I'm from the village. They didn't believe me because they saw how happy I am and they felt everything was okay. Nobody knew. Sometimes, even at the law school, I had walked from Osu to Makola and the law school because I had no money to pay transportation. So one day I had to go to the village and took pictures of my village. I just started slipping the pictures, sharing it to my colleagues. So one of my friends, he's a big lawyer now. He took all the pictures and took it to the front to give it to the lecturer. And the lecturer said, what was going on? And he said, look at this guy. Okay, so he took the pictures. After lectures, he came to me and said, where from these pictures? And I said, well, that's where I spend my holidays. That's my village. And he said, you mean you are from a village like this? I said, yes. He said, you don't mean it. So how come you were able to come to the law school? You see the question? I mean, if I'm from a village like that, you should not be able to come to law school. But I'd made up my mind that I'll come to the law school. I'll be happy as I can as long as I live here. You have to make that choice. All right. So let's start quickly. I'm going to share this very, very quickly of the ways that successful leaders take responsibility. And I've already, with the opening discussions that we've had, you'll probably see the first one is that successful leaders take initiatives. They don't wait to be told. They don't wait to react. They take initiative. And in so doing, their language betrays them. They are proactive instead of reactive. Now, let's go through quickly how successful leaders think and speak as against unsuccessful leaders or reactive leaders. Look at the reactive language, which a lot of us say, oh, I'll try. Now, when you say I'll try, there is an inherent unwritten program running that this is difficult, this I can't do it, But okay, if they say I should do it, I'm going to try. That's not how successful leaders speak or think. They say, I will do it. Even if it is difficult, I will do it. When I left my job, when I came and I said I was going to do this center, a lot of people said I was crazy. When I started Live to Lead, a lot of people said, no, Ghanaians will not buy into this thing. So I said, yeah, I will do it. And today, 7 years running, we've held Live to Lead, and it's coming up again on October 6th. If you're on this call, I would encourage you to register for Live to Lead. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be powerful. John Maxwell himself will be there. So please, as leader, just take the responsibility and take the initiative. This is how reactive people will speak. That's just the way I am. No. Successful leaders say, I can do better than that. Even though that's how you were brought up, even though that's how your genetics says by the scientists, you say, yes, no, I can do better. That's not just how you are. You can change. You have the power to transform yourself. Then a reactive person will say, oh, there's nothing I can do. And I remember one of my bosses, this is one sentence he'll just go ballistic if you say, oh, sir, we can't do anything about it. And somehow I've taken that virus also into me. I just get very upset when somebody say, I can't do anything about it. No. Successful leader says, let's look at all options. You explore. You ask the question, how can I do this? When you ask the question, how can I do this? Immediately, your mind begins to think possibilities. And you are working and you are not happy. And you say, but why don't you quit? You say, well, I have to do this job because I have nothing else to do. I have to. No. Successful leader says, I have a choice. I choose to do this work. It's not because I have to, because you can do something else. So you don't have to stay when you don't. Reactive person will say, I can't. Whereas the proactive person says, there's got to be a way. Whereas the reactive person will say, you ruined my day. He made me sad. You spoil my day. As we say, the proactive leaders, successful leaders, never allow people to make them angry or to rule their emotions. No. They say, I'm not going to let your bad mood rub off on me. Okay? As a story said about a guy who picked a taxi, and as he was going, some driver just rode rough across him, and then he just smiled. The passenger was a bit surprised and says, but he almost killed you. Smiling. He says, you see, in life, there are some people who are baller cows. They're rubbish. And if you're not careful, they will dump their rubbish on you. And I have decided I will not let anybody dump their rubbish on me. They will take control over. Successful leaders control the controllables. My friends, a lot of the things that happen to you and a lot of the things that happen into the world, there are some you have control over, there are some you don't. Now, the best way you can take responsibility is to understand the things that happen to you and classify them properly and clarify them. There are so many things happening in the world. For example, if there is an election going on in the United States, and you are a poor farmer in my village in Fisher or something, that my poor farmer, it's nothing concerns him. The United States elections, Donald Trump will win or not win. It's not his problem. That is outside his concern. He doesn't concern himself for that. And there are so many things happening in this world that do not concern you. Okay, you take those things out. Now, then you do the circle of concern. There are things that actually, yes, can affect you directly or indirectly and so on and so forth. Yes, the water bill is going up, light bills are going up, things are happening. those are concerns. But when you put all those in your circle of concern, there are some of those things that you are able to you have possibility. Even if you don't have the ability, you know people who can help you to be able to manage some of those things. You classify those things, those ones, into what is called a circle of influence. Things you can, and with the help of others and all your social status can help you to do, they fall into your circle of influence. And there are some that are within your control. These are issues you can do something about it. So what successful leaders do is that they take responsibility by doing something about the things they can control. All right. So this is a very, very important understanding. Now, let's look closely a bit. Successful leaders, when they define this circle of control or the circle of influence, they take proactive action to be able to act on the things they can act upon. Now, when you begin to act on the things you can act upon, if you use your circle of influence to address the issues that are going on, what happens is that you expand your circle of influence. It's just like when I started I was concerned about leadership, and there are things I could do, things I could not do. And I just started this Center for Transformational Leadership, started this platform. Today, I am able to be called into other places. Some other people call me. My circle of influence has enlarged by taking proactive action. But if you take reactive action, the second circle, what happens is that that negative energy reduces your circle of influence. So if you gave up and you sat in your room and you didn't do anything, when I left my job, I sat in my room, I didn't do anything, by now I would be there, nobody would know me. Then my circle of influence will reduce. Proactive people, successful leaders understand this. Leadership is influence, and the only way you can influence people is to expand your circle of influence by taking proactive, positive action. And that is what successful leaders do. Now, when we talk about the circle of control, there are three types of activities that fall within the control. There are things that are within your direct control, problems involving your own behavior. So if you are you are prone to anger, that is within your control. It is you to change it. If you are lazy, it is within your control. That is within your direct control. You can change it. Now, there is indirect control. These are problems involving others. So you work in an office, your boss is difficult. That is something that is within your circle of influence, but it is not directly related to you. So you have to find other methods of influence to be able to change that. And there are problems that you can do nothing about. There are certain problems that you can do nothing about because the thing is totally out of your control. Let's say you are born black. So you are in a white man's country, and they're discriminating against blacks, or they make a law against blacks, or they make a law against non-citizens of your country, and you are not a citizen. That is something that you can't do anything about it. I know that people else, you're black. Okay? So those are things that you don't worry about. You have a big nose. That's how you were made. You have a long years. You can't do anything about it. If you start worrying about those your long years, you would not progress. How things which are serenity prayer. This is the serenity prayer. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, because you can't change them. The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So when you are in a situation where you cannot do anything about it. You just have to know whether there's something that you can do. If there's nothing you can do, you accept it. All right. The third thing is that successful leaders understand consequences. Now, reactive leaders sometimes don't understand consequences, but successful leaders that know that they can choose their actions and that they cannot choose the consequences of their actions, because the way you behave, what you do, will result in something. And that is why they are careful to take the responsibility and do the things in such a way that they can fairly be able to control the consequence. We are not free to choose the consequences of our actions. So if you decided, and that is a choice, to indulge in alcohol, to indulge in drugs, over a certain period of time, it will act on your livers, it will act on your system, your blood will be diluted, you will lose your balance, and over time, you will find that you are not in charge. If you get drunk and you go and take a vehicle and drive, and you could not see the images and you hit somebody's car, that is a consequence that will flow from your action. Successful leaders understand this. And so they are very, very proactive. Of course, you can make mistakes. You're doing things, you can make mistakes. But when you make a mistake, what do? If you can correct them, you correct them. You acknowledge the mistakes and you learn from them. That's how successful leaders take responsibility. But when you are reactive, when you make a mistake, you don't acknowledge your mistake. You start to blame other people. And because you do that, you don't correct your mistakes and you don't learn from them. That is not the right approach. All right? The fourth thing quickly is that successful leaders take responsibility by making and keeping their commitments. The highest test of responsibility is that you make a promise to yourself and you keep it. Or you make a promise to others and you don't keep it. I have a very serious problem with our concept of time. Let's meet at this point and we don't. And then we're giving all sort of it's Ghana time. We call it GMT, Ghana maybe time. All right? That is not. When you don't take your own commitment seriously, when you make promises and you don't keep them, very soon you're going to lose your circle of influence. All right? So that is number 4. Number 5, successful leaders measure on character. You see, you can have all the Facebook niceties and create a nice image about who you are. That's your personality. It's the image, the public image, and all the attitude and skills that you put into it. It's important, but the most important thing which successful leaders measure on is they measure on their character, because success depends on character. So although your image and techniques and skill can influence your outward success, the weight of real effectiveness lies in your character. And successful leaders focus on character. All right. And the last one, successful leaders begin with the end in mind. I wish we had some time, but at this moment, I want you to just reflect. Reflect a bit and imagine yourself at a funeral. And as people are going round and wailing for the funeral, you also went round the corpse, and then you find that the person who was lying in the coffin was you. And actually, it was your funeral, and you are at your funeral. And you're going to read the tribute. What are they going to say about you? That is the power of beginning with the end in mind. If you envision the end, you are able to take proactive results to be able to go the direction of your life. But if you don't, and you just live your life anyhow, you get to the judgment, and there is no excuse before God. For those Christians who believe in the judgment, there's no excuse. And even if you don't go that far, if you don't think about the When the consequences come, you have no time to correct. So, my friends, these are some of the thoughts I wanted to share with you. And the final word from Professor Edwin, and he says, obviously, there is something more than facilities and competence that makes for accomplishment. I have come to believe can be defined is right, our abilities reach a maximum effectiveness, and good results inevitably follow. And that is my parting message for you. Take responsibility for your action, and you would increase
Okay, sorry so much for these technical issues from the CTL head office. I guess the internet is not working very well. Sam, can you hear us? Are you back? No, I think whilst the internet stabilizes on Sam's side, I will ask Kofi or Richmond to share with us. Okay, let me read. Sam, are you back? Okay. Because we had some challenges with your internet connection. So if you can sum up what you were saying, then we can have Kofi share the video for Leave to Lead, and then we'll take the questions.
All right.
So you can sum up this final part. The internet was breaking, connection was breaking all the time.
Oh, so, I'm really sorry, Sarah. Okay. Yes. So I just hope that, all right. So that I was saying that my final parting words were to the words of Edwin Shell, who Professor Shell says, obviously, there is something more than facilities and competence that makes for accomplishment. I have come to believe that this linkage factor, this catalyst, if you will, can be defined in a single word: attitude. When our attitude is right, our abilities reach a maximum of effectiveness, and good results inevitably follow. So this is my parting word. If we want to expand our circle of influence, we have to change our attitude from reactive to proactive stance at every point in time. I'm sorry that the network seemed to have caused more problems. I didn't realize that.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam. So whilst you take a little break, I'll ask Kofi to share the video of Leave to Lead with us. And I'll ask our cherished participants to put in their comments as well as their takeaways and their questions in the comment chat box. We'll be back with you soon. Over to you, Kofi or Richmond.
Nobody ever thought their way to success. Nobody ever hoped their way to success. Nobody ever wrote goals on a planner to success. They acted. Action is what attracts. It's the action. It's the movement. Every person has a change the world speech inside of them. It's inside of you. Every one of you have a message. Every one of you have a dream. And my hope is that today you'll begin to express that dream better than you ever have, because people need to hear your story. People need to see your vision. And when you learn to communicate, you pass it on to others, and you help so many people make a difference in the world. So let your dream come out and learn how to communicate it with excellence. Thank you very much. My name is John. I'm your friend. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam. And thank you, Kofi and Richmond, for the advert on Leave to Lead. And as John said, everyone has got a message to change the world. Today, what Sam has shared with us is really his life lesson about what he's been able to achieve by taking responsibility. This is really the epitome of this lesson today. He has lived it, he's walked it, and this is what he has shared with us. So let me see the questions that have come up. Sam, if you will join me after taking just a short break. Let's see who is here. Richmond is here, Mami Ama Eniwa is here, Kwame JB is here, Kofi Amofa, Ebenezer Ni Ama joining from Asifosu, Willie Glay. She said he was looking forward to this insightful evening, and I hope he has comments and some questions for us. Dennis Ahay is here, Richard Asante Boche, Dixon Amankwa Kufuor said, thank God for today and hope to learn more from Mr. Eyim. And I hope you've been able to do just that, Dixon. Isaac Ayuku Kwashi says he's joining us from Dar es Salaam, all the way from Tanzania. It's late, but we are glad to have you here with us. And then we have all the details for Leave to Lead and the guest speakers from Ghana. We have Frimpong Boaten, Professor Frimpong Boaten, who will be sharing with us. And we also have Andrew Stechi of ZigPay and Marcus Buckingham. Great. So let me see whether we have questions. I can't see questions. I'm just looking to find questions. I have lots of comments. Doris Arthur watching from Accra. Thanks so much, she says. Charles Ni Adote Odue says response ability tools, awareness and conscience. Okay. And Catherine says, wow, Sam, I would love to hear your story. Yes, Catherine, I guess you've just seen the overview of what Sam has laid out, and definitely he will have the opportunity, if you ask him the questions, to really bring some of the personal lessons that he has shared with us. Okay, Catherine says Viktor Franklin, or someone said, yes, it's Viktor Franklin, says, between stimulus and action, there is a space, and therein lies the power for us to choose our response. Okay, so let's see. I'm not seeing any questions. Just comments. Some people are happy. They say it's a good session. And let's see, indeed, take responsibility. That's Willis Kweku for the upcoming Leave to Lead, and you will never regret, provided you are proactive. Thank you so much, Willie, for this encouragement. Awesome presentation from Willie. And then Nana Poku Osei Straha says, how do I register for Leave to Lead coming up? Okay, we'll have posted and we'll post again the details for you. And don't come alone, come with your team. You'll have a discount. So let's see, Catherine has a question. Yes. How do we develop, Sam, you can take this down. How do we develop the muscle to actually take response? Okay, to respond. So Sam, that's a question for you. And Clement says, I am Clement, I have been late, but I believe to learn from here, and we share here as we share. God bless you. beautiful organizers. And then Catherine says, how do we actually take responsibility? Yes, that's her accent, her question. So Sam, take that up and we'll await for other questions to come up.
Thank you. Catherine, in terms of the developing the muscle, as you said, it's just like it's an exercise. It's just like the way the bodybuilders, build their muscles. It takes time. It takes consciousness. It takes practice. You cannot just wake up one day, because there's so much around us. There is society around us, as we said, and everybody is doing the same thing. So you have to make a decision. You have to make a choice that I have to change my own life. I have to change the lives of others. I want to make a difference in this world. Now, it is that attitude, that mindset. It's a paradigm shift. And if you don't shift your paradigm and you continue with the societal paradigm that, oh, it's not your fault. Yeah, the economy is not good, so it's fine. Everybody is doing it, so it's fine. No, it requires a shift in our mindset. And that shift from being reactive and accepting your fate, okay, and saying, I want to take action. That is the beginning. And as you make the shift, you continuously practice it. I've been doing it, a mastermind on Steve Covey's book with a group of corporate people. And one of the things we do at the end is I say, okay, we have the ACT. ACT, what are you going to apply? What are you going to change? And what are you going to teach? So they all send in that. And the next day, the next week where we meet, I can tell you the very interesting things when they put the things into practice. And somebody says, oh, Sam, this one, if before I came to this class, the way I would have skinned those people, I would have shouted on them. But then I remember that, no, if I did that, I'm giving control of them. So I just relaxed. And there are so many very beautiful, beautiful stories of how people. So once you begin to take action proactively, you will see that over time, the mindset, the paradigm changes, and it becomes very natural. So that is what I would add to my good sister and friend Catherine's question. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Sam. And Sam, you in your presentation also, I mean, looking at the reactive and the proactive columns that you gave to us, you also had these positive affirmation of the words or the language that you use. Instead of you using the negative, you always use the positive to give you that momentum to move forward. So languaging is also a way that we can use. The language that we use really helps us to take action. And if we go further, we can have affirmations that could help us repeating, that will help us take the action that is required. But Sam, before I go on with the questions, I want you to give us a practical example. Where in your life did you decide to choose to be that proactive? Because looking at your life, how you came from the village to where you are, at what time in your life did you decide? If you could share that with us.
Well, Sarah, this is very interesting because, as I said, even today when I go back to the village, I go to my friends who were in the class with, and some of them, you look at them, they are like maybe 20, 30 years older than me. Now, when I was even very young, I mean, in the village, you walk 7 kilometers, okay? I was the firstborn in my family. My mother had 8 children, where apart from our lastborn, we're all boys. So as the firstborn, I wake up in the morning, you have to sweep the compound, go and fetch water, come and cook your breakfast, which was always some ampesi and something, You eat some and you put some in your bowl, you wrap it. And I was very tiny, so I tie it in my mother's head calf, because the journey to the school is 7 kilometers and it's hilly. If you're not careful, you fall down, you lose your lunch because you're not coming back 7 kilometers to get food. So, and very often, especially during the rainy season, most children would not like to go to school. But even my mother would say, but nobody is going. I would insist, I will cry, and I will go to school. I will go in the rain and walk in the rain and come back. So I don't know how I got it. I call it grace. So very early on, I decided that this life here is not for me. I have to make something out of it. So I did that, and constantly in my life, when I went into the university, I can tell you, I mean, my secondary school, my sixth form, my university, my parents never knew the color of my school. I had a roommate. Every week his parents will come. The week they don't come, he complains. He won't learn because his parents didn't visit him. And me, nobody visited me all my life in school. But I'll be the one telling him, my friend, you are not here for your parents, so you are here for yourself. So I've made this decision over and over and over to take action, because if I didn't do that, when my mother died when I was 18, I had to take responsibility for all my children, my brothers and my sisters. And what could I have done? We would just have all stayed in the village. And this was Sarah. It was 1983 when my mother died. It was the most difficult year in Ghana. No food, drought, whatever. It was difficult. We used to do fuel. We would walk how many kilometers and so forth. We're eating anything in the bush. But I made up my mind that, this is a difficult situation, but life must go on. So it's something that you can do something about it. And today, by the grace of God, I became the first lawyer in my village. I became the first whatever, and and I take that also up. I try to also, when I go to the village, if anybody is in need, I would go in and help and support, because if you didn't support, things will not go well. So, and you have a choice. There's some people who've gone through this, and once they come to Accra and they are okay, they decide that they don't want to go to the village anymore. But I do. Every year, I used to go to the village with the whole family. We walk the kilometers just to give the people some experience. So that's what I would say. There's so much we can talk about around this, but I believe strongly that each one of us has the power to change our situation if we can just take responsibility for our lives and not blame our parents, our circumstance, our country. The politicians can do whatever they want, but take charge.
Thank you. That's beautiful, Sam. I think another day you have to come and really share these practical experiences with us. Let me look at the chat. I have, I think I have Amos, who says, can you please elaborate more how it can be expanded? That is the circle of influence. He says, I'm more interested in the circle of influence. Can you please elaborate more how it can be expanded? That is one. And then the next question is Catherine, who say, how can one tell when one is playing a victim versus taking responsibility? Okay, so I think I hear you say it is being very mindful of your own responses. And she goes on to say she loves affirmations. Let's see whether there is a third one that I can give to you, and then you can take the three. Sam, did you have any role models that you aspired to be like? How did you know that that life was not for you? So if you could take those three questions, and then we can move on.
So how do you expand your sphere of influence? Let me just say, for example, when I left the bank and I started this,
Okay. Sam, you
I didn't
froze again. You froze again.
sense that I was watching his productions. Sorry,
Can you
am I
yeah,
audible now?
yeah, now you are audible. So yes, when you left the bank.
So I said that when I wanted to start this project of leadership development, I went to see Uncle Ebo White, and I told him, Uncle, I've been watching your productions for a long time. This is me. I hadn't met him. You know, he doesn't use a mobile phone, so you have to send a mail. I took steps. I searched for his email. I went to
You've
one of the
given me
production and I
the
asked
way, eh?
one of them for his number. And they said that, well, he doesn't use a mobile phone. So you have to send him an email. I said, fine. So I sent him an email, introduced myself, and I said, I want to have a meeting with you so that I can discuss some things. And then he responded, gave me a date. I went, discussed my plans with him. And he said, Sam, this is a very good project, but I don't know if you're going to succeed, you know. And he encouraged me and says, I have my support. And that is how you expand yourself, because you take proactive. Because I made a decision to do this, I call on him. Because I made a decision, I found Sarah. Because I made a decision, I remember my first couple of Live to Lead. I think most of the people were brought in by Catherine. Okay, because she had a big circle of influence already before I started, and then she networked some people and they came to the meeting. So by taking action, you expand your circle of influence. It's just like Jesus when he told his disciples that when you go, don't worry about what you say. When you go into a place, somebody will accept you. If those who accept you, stay in their house and they'll take care of you. When you are, and we have an account proverb that when you are climbing a good tree, literally, then people will push you up. In other words, when you are pursuing a good purpose, then people will support you. So if you don't take the step, you won't find people to help you. And today, through this program, I connected with BCA leadership, and through BCA leadership, there are other things I'm able to do. I connected with Coach Africa. Through Coach Africa, there are things I can do. So you see that now the influence is going through Coach Africa. I'm able to go and do program for African Union. So you see the circle of influence. Before I started, it was smaller, but because I was positive and proactive, the circle keeps enlarging. And that is how you do it. In terms of knowing when you are a victim, well, it can be sometimes very difficult, because sometimes if somebody doesn't bring you awareness, you will not know. So it is because you've done this over and over, and it's been crystallized in your mind as your lenses. So that's how you behave. Now, some people can bring it to you. Situations can shake you up. But I would recommend that if you're not sure, it will probably be good to have a coach. If you have a coach and you go into the coach with a situation that, look, I want to do things, but I'm not able to do, or there are all these kinds of things happening around me, and it's because I feel like this, the coach will help you through proactive, creative discussions and partnership. It will be able to help you to come to your awareness, because sometimes it's difficult for us to know ourselves, and the coaching is the most powerful tool that helps you to be aware of what's going on. So I would recommend strongly. Of course, Sarah talked about the language we speak is very important. Affirmations are very important. I think Catherine mentioned that in her contribution. So those are ways by which you can do to improve your proactiveness, your responsibility, because your responsibility can be strengthened by taking action. I hope I got all the three,
Yes,
all
you
the
did.
questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Live to Lead registration link has been shared. So you can pick the registration link and share. We have two options for your registration for Live to Lead. We have the virtual only version, which goes for $79. It's the same price for the last 3, 4, 5 years. But because of the exchange rate, you can pay equivalent in cedis, which is about 90. That's
Okay.
virtual. Okay, that's for virtual. And we have a hybrid where we will have an in-person where you have interaction with the Ghana speaker.
Okay, Sam is gone off. So you'll have
These
interaction with the
others that we are
Ghanaian.
talking to.
Go ahead,
And
Sam.
that is 2,000 Ghana cedis. And for the hybrid, is because you're going to give you branch with and so forth. So those additions and the venue and the technical things, and so the in-person will give you a bit more. So if you want to have personal interaction, then the in-person one is for you, and it's 2,000 Ghana cedis. All right. So Sarah,
Okay.
any other questions that we missed?
Yes. Yeah, there are other questions here. Catherine is saying, wow, Sam, you have a lot of stories in you. I remember 1983 well. I'm sorry to hear you lost your mom at such a difficult time in your life. And he says, you're right. We all have the power to change our situations, but it relies on us to make a decision. And Rene says, I would like to know if you were beaten to do house chores before school. And she
I
continues.
was beating Papa. My mother was an action before complaint. He doesn't tell you anything before you realize from your back. If you don't wake up early, he will come and beat you. He doesn't wake you up and say, hey, my friend, it's time to wake up. Oh, it's back. He beats you to wake up. And that's why my favorite statement that my mother did to us, he will tell you that, sometimes children will wake up, you don't want to go and do things, you go and cook, you don't want to cook, and you say, are you cooking for me? You are going to cook for yourself and you eat it. You are taking your own food to school. You want me to cook it for you? Then she will say, serving yourself is not slavery. Go and do it. So if you are serving yourself, and for me, that was very powerful because it taught us to take things into our hands and to do things for ourselves. And that is responsibility. Okay. I didn't like it when she was beating me, but when she died, I appreciated it because today I can be in any situation, any circumstance, and no matter how tough, it cannot break me. Thank you for that question.
Well, awesome. I think that even dovetail beautifully into the next question that Rene is asking. Say, how involved were your parents in your upbringing? You've talked about your mother. What about your daddy?
Well, my dad was the opposite of my mother, and my dad was always away. In fact, he had together we are 15. My father has different other women and children, and most of the time he was gone. He's gone to funerals. He goes to funeral from Thursday and comes back on Tuesday. Every funeral concerns him. He has his own things doing there. So it was my mom who was there. And when my father was there, he was our go-to. When we are being beaten, he would be the one to protect us. So when, sometimes my father would say, you're going to kill the child. Why are you doing that? So when my mother slaps you small, you cry loud so that your father will hear it. So you can come and save you. But, the hot and the cold was good to help us, to give us a balance in life. So that there's some softness here and there. So they were very involved until when my mother died. Then everything scattered. Some of my brothers went to different aunts and things, stayed with different people until when I started working, I had to bring those that were still in school to me to stay and to support all of them and so on and so forth. So that's how my upbringing was.
Great. Thank you so much, Sam, and really relating this personally to your life. We have learned a lot from you, and time is running out. We have 5 minutes before the top of the hour. I'll just give you the floor to give us your closing remarks.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. And I want to thank everybody, Catherine, and all who have shared. I'm sorry that internet apparently was playing games with us, but I hope that the big part, the majority of the presentation came through. So my parting remarks is, ladies and gentlemen, God has given us all we need to become all we can become. We have all the internal energies and resources that we need to change our lives and become better people. We have all the resources within us, the abilities within us to be able to help others, to change our world and make it a better place. So I want to encourage us, let us not give up so easily. Let us not give ourselves excuses not to do the right thing. Let us not give excuses not to be our best. You can become your very best. Become better and better and better. And that requires you to accept the responsibility for your life, accept the responsibility to make your own contribution to this world. Others. So I want to encourage all of us, let's change our mindset. Your genetics, your upbringing, and your environment is important, but important determining you have the power to take charge of your life. So God bless you, everyone, and stay blessed.
Thank you, Sam. So Sam beautifully ended. You have the power to change your life. We have to take responsibility. And with that, I'll say a big thank you to the CTL team who are behind the scenes to help us bring this program together. To all of you participants, if you had not come, we would not have had a good session. Many, many thanks to you, and especially to Sam for sharing his life, being vulnerable, and also really setting up this platform where we can all gather and learn every Saturday, day in and day out. I think next week we will take a break because at CTL, Sam, could you come out to a little bit? Yeah, if you could come on screen. Yeah, next week we may not have a session. Is that correct?
Yes, next week you are invited to the wedding of Kofi, who has been the bone behind all the technology. So we're going to just enjoy ourselves with Kofi. So we'll be beaming the leadership platform from his wedding site. So we would not have the leadership platform next week, but we'll share some of the past sessions on the platforms so that you can still keep your Saturday appointment with us. And then the following week, we're coming with you with another very extraordinary business story, leadership story. So keep the date and let's see you. Not next week is, so today is 19th, so 27, and that will be the 3rd or something. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see you in September the 3rd. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
September, let me get the dates correct. September, 2nd September. That is when we will air live again. But meanwhile, you can go to the leadership platform for all recorded sessions that we have had over the years. So thank you again all, and see you on the 2nd of September. God bless. And as Sam will always say, remember to go to church tomorrow. So top of the hour, bye-bye, and see you on 2nd September. Bye.
Nobody ever thought their way to success. Nobody ever hoped their way to success. Nobody ever wrote goals on a planner to success. They acted. Action is what attracts. It's the action. It's the movement. Every person has a change the world speech inside of them. It's inside of you. Every one of you have a message. Every one of you have a dream. And my hope is that today you'll begin to express that dream better than you ever have, because people need to hear your story. People need to see your vision. And when you learn to communicate, you pass it on to others, and you help so many people make a difference in the world. So let your dream come out and learn how to communicate it with excellence. Thank you very much. My name is John. I'm your friend. Thank you.